This video is only possible thanks to viewers like you. To support the channel and get more, go to patreon.com/optimisticduelist and subscribe. Link in the description. Hey pals, Optimistic Duelist here, and today we're going to talk about Goldbloods. Rustbloods might live the shortest lives and put in the longest hours, but you could make the case that Alternia makes Goldbloods suffer the most in terms of sheer agony. This is because of their psionic abilities, which in terms of raw energy and power generated, put them in a league of their own, even compared to the other cast's superhuman traits. Not all Goldbloods have psionic powers, but those who do benefit not only from telekinesis even stronger than that of Rustbloods, but also various abilities that seem to have to do with producing energy and electricity, including Cyclops-style eye lasers. That makes sense because psionics is actually a real term referring to the study of paranormal phenomena in relation to the application of electronics specifically. Fittingly, this immense power turns psionic Goldbloods into valuable resources for the Empire, which conscripts them into brutal, lifelong psychic labor, where they're turned into psychic batteries that enable the Empire's warships faster than light interstellar travel. The Empire subjects psionics to this slavery until the Goldblood's brain simply burns out, at which point they seem to contract a condition known as void rot, where their body loses its ability to store energy at all, which leaves them a little bit like leaky batteries, sapping energy from outside sources just to keep themselves alive. In their forced transformation into Imperial resources, Goldbloods echo the Helmsman, a devout follower of the Sufferer's spiritual movement, who was eventually caught and forced to power the flagship of the Alternian Empire's ruling Empress. His class, the Heir, tends to deal with wielding great power but not really knowing how to take responsibility for or help others with it. As such, heirs whose stories end in tragedy often end up becoming physical manifestations of their aspect that are used by others, losing their personhood and even lives in the process. This is the fate every powerful Goldblood has inherited, as the aspect of doom concerns the suffering life inevitably imparts onto every individual, the burdens of fate that every person will eventually face, and the great power that can come from committing sacrifice, whether of oneself or others. Because the consequences of being too powerful are so clearly laid out for Goldbloods, they also tend to have a strong awareness of the particular kinds of suffering their future is likely to hold, whether because they're too powerful and on the Empire's radar, or not powerful enough. In this sense, Goldbloods also evoke the mage their caste is designed to eventually produce, Solok's captor. This might explain the cast's predilection for hacking and programming, as Solok's used his immense talent at the till death programming language to immense doomy effect in the comic. So let's get into our trolls. First, let's get Folykl and Kuprum out of the way. The Witch of Void and Knight of Hope, respectively, at least as far as I define them. They already got their own videos, so I'm not going to talk about them very much here, other than to say that they're my favorites and did nothing wrong. Next up, we've got Zebede. Maybe because of Light's affinity for truth and clarity, Zebede's true class feels less muddled by his cast than many to me. He reads like a page, through and through. He contacts you through the phone Connell, also a Lightbound, gives you. And if you've seen my Joey video, it won't surprise you to learn I find that meaningful. Phones and electronic communication are potent symbols for light. The MSPA reader gets another upgrade in agency, the car, entirely to try and make him happy by visiting, and he completely wrecks the car's rightful owner when they come to threaten his new friend. To do this, he employs the help of his little bee friends, which is a kind of psionic ability we still don't know much about, other than that in Zebede's hands, it's terrifyingly powerful, perhaps evoking that immense page potential. He's certainly got the long pagey road ahead, because for all his positive contributions, Zebede comes off kind of frustrating and hopelessly out of touch with reality. His caste influence manifests as a kind of desperate and performative awareness of his own suffering, which he almost seems to use to manipulate the reader into giving him his way. Combined with his cloying, kind of clingy attitude, it all makes him kind of a drag to be around. He also harbors the passion for storytelling and disregard for traditional right and wrong that often serve as hallmarks of the Lightbound, which he shows by writing real-person fanfic about performers he likes, like K-pop stars or Cirava. Some people find this creepy, and to be fair, it is. But to be honest, it's not really all that different from Vriska being so captivated by the story of Mindfang that she tries to embody it in real life. Zebede also reads like he's 11, so maybe cut the kid some slack, that's all I'm saying. At least he's not putting people in cages like Aradia. Next we've got Azdaja. Some of these trolls are easier to identify specific classes for than others, and Azdaja is by far the easiest of all. From toe to tip, Azdaja screams the haughty, arrogant ego of the prince. While he's as aware as anyone of the limitations he faces in his future, you don't really get the impression that he's so much as particularly down about it. That could be partly to do with the premeditated Mindbound mask we saw with Shixi and Bikare. Azdaja thinks so much about how he presents himself to others that he even uses his considerable psychic power to make his coat look like it's waving in the wind. God, he's such a dweeb. I love him. It could also have to do with his prospect roll-with-the-punches nature, as he seemingly decided to simply live outside the law as a hitman for hire along with his matesprit Connell, although their relationship is apparently more complicated and seemingly quadrant blurring, a fact Azdaja is uncomfortable and unwilling to discuss with us. But above all, I think his positive attitude comes from the ego-driven confidence of the Prince class, as Azdaja is ruthlessly competent enough to overcome most obstacles, and he knows it. This gives him the power to choose his own path, especially since his psionics, on top of being more flexible than most that we've seen, certainly carry the sheer destructive power to back up his act. Another troll who's very aware of the particular risks and dangers Goldbloods face is Serova Hermod, who's already been burned by them before. Already a successful lo-fi hip-hop grub tuber and streamer, they got a bit flippant with the hot takes on troll Twitter once and ended up really pissing off some highbloods. In response, they started reporting Cirava as a powerful psionic to get them conscripted to battery duty. It would have worked too, if not for Cirava taking drastic measures. Still, they were abandoned by their friends, who were fearful that association with Cirava would also get them targeted. Now traumatized by the experience, Cirava's happy-go-lucky and friendly attitude is at odds with their fear of suffering harassment and betrayal like that again. They inspire a certain intense attraction in their audience that seems common to the Hopebound, or those in their thrall. And while they're happy to help the reader change into someone more popular, they quickly grow paranoid and resentful if they do all the creative work themselves, as they start to feel like you're trying to take advantage of them and usurp their popularity. Things go a lot better for both of you if you take your own creative initiative and they're just a helping hand inviting your deliberate change, which fits the heir's more passive style more than the witch. Cirava's biggest challenge now is certainly to take control and responsibility for their power, both in terms of developing a healthy relationship with their audience and in learning how to manage their own powerful thoughts and imagination, which at their worst can make Cirava outright delusional with paranoia. Funnily enough, this also means that I see myself as sharing a class with Cirava, which is fun since they're probably my single favorite friendsim troll. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this round. Thanks so much for watching and for continuing to support the channel so far. I couldn't be doing this without you and it really means a lot to me, so you're all the best. I promise we are actually going to talk about the epilogue and get to the Beta Kids videos eventually. I've been spending a lot of time trying to gather my thoughts and figure out exactly what I want to say, and I don't want to rush it, so I just wanted to reassure everyone that it's in the works if you're interested in that, and thank you for your patience if you've been waiting and antsy about it. If you want to get access to more of my ideas in a more slapdash, less formal form, then you can hop on my Patreon where you can get access to script drafts, conversation on Homestuck and the epilogues in the Discord server, and a 120-page fanfiction I wrote mostly about Jake English. Otherwise, the videos will be making their way to you when they're ready. Hope you're looking forward to them, and until then, keep rising.